Good evening. Welcome to another edition of the 411 Talk Zone radio show right here on YouTube. My name is Leon Jones, and this evening I'm going to do something that I normally don't do. It is part political, but it is also a series. Now, I know there are a number of individuals out there, particularly African American women or Black women, who love Tyler Perry. Now, there's a series that I've been watching called The Oval. Now, The Oval is a political type program, and it has a lot of the progressive views in that series. Now, it's on its sixth series. Now, I'm putting it out there today because there are a number of Black people who are in that. I call it a soap opera or drama, whatever you want to call it. And you can see the dysfunction. You can see the disrespect of Black men, even the men who are in power. And, one thing, and I wish Tyler Perry would make a number of his movies like Acrimony. Now, you didn't hear anything about Acrimony that came out in 2017. He makes a lot of their drama movies like Love and Hip Hop, Basketball Wives. Now, the reason why I'm doing this is because, being Black here, there are a number of Black people who love drama, and drama sells, and drama is celebrated when it comes to Black people. And here's a big truth. We will celebrate Black people who go to jail. But the Black person who goes to college and actually does something for himself or herself, we label that person as a lame. We will label the loudmouth chick a ratchet chick, and we'll celebrate that ratchet chick or that ratchet behavior. But when it comes to somebody who is very respectful, I'm talking about Black woman, we call her a pick-me. Now, one of the reasons why Black people, and this is just my opinion, most of us will never get over the hump, is we keep going back in time. On one hand, we're benefiting from America, but on the other hand, we're going back to the 60s with the attitude of victimization. And this is from that white liberal. If you think about the movies that the white liberals have created, and I'm just going to say this right now, the white liberals are your perverted individuals. They like doing whatever they want to do with children, same sex, all the trans. They're white liberals. And when it comes to the Black community, Black people used to be some of the most conservative people out there. But just as I put in my video last week, the Black woman, not all of them, but many of them, through the images of what they see on TV, like The Oval, like Sisters, like Ruthless, like Medea, they get the images from those programs. And a number of them portray those programs as real life. This is why you see the dysfunction of Black people when it comes to social media. And one area that I will tell you, go watch Oval. Oval depicts, you have men, Black men, weak. Black men allow themselves to be disrespected. Now, of course, that's the way Tyler Perry wrote it. But you have the dark-skinned woman named Priscilla. Somebody should slap the shit out of her. these women, the way they talk to men, but this is what happens out in the real world. And then if you go upside their head, they're going to get their goons, the simps out there. They're going to get the cake riders. And if you look at the oval, you see how that black woman tries to go at that white man. A lot different. But looking at the show, does that depict the black community? If you think about it, you look at your churches, the preachers, the real customers in the black community, and it's always going to be hood. It's going to be the women who come to church and some of your men who are following the women. And when it comes to the Democratic Party, regardless of how many people voted for Donald Trump this past election, the majority of black people still support the Democratic Party. Although the Democratic Party doesn't do anything for them. But you look at the Democratic women, not very attractive, very loud. You have Jasmine Crockett, you have Maxine Waters, and you have that Ayanna chick up there, Ayanna Presley from Massachusetts. Not attractive women. In fact, they think they're smart. They're not. And the more educated they are, talking about a number of our black women, the dumber they are. No common sense. And they get that from the white liberal. And they're taking the marching orders from that white liberal. And I believe Tyler Perry movies, he's not dumb. And Derrick Jackson wasn't dumb. Steve Harvey wasn't dumb. Yeah, we may have said they were simping. Sure, they were simping. But see, I looked at it a different way. I knew who their customers were. And for the educated black women out here, and you talk about how powerful and independent they are. Now, this is not all black women, but it's a percentage of them. I don't have the number, but you can see it on social media. You can see it on TV. You can see that a number of the black women, they don't take care of themselves. And you have a number of white women who don't take care of themselves either. The American woman in general has gone down. She's not worth it. She's been used up, and she doesn't care to be used up. She doesn't care to be disrespectful. But if you look at a lot of Tyler Perry movies, or look at The Oval, they depict the light-skinned men as very sweet men. Those men have beautiful wives. You look at the one named Donald in that movie, who's the chief of staff, which he's the head of everybody in the White House. Nice looking wife. One that, and I'm just talking about in the movie, that a number of brothers would die for. Married for a long time. And what is Donald doing? Sleeping with men. You have Sam and Priscilla in that movie, going at each other. Because Sam slept with the black woman who was the first lady to the white president. Then you have the vice president, who was light-skinned, sleeping with the president's wife. Then you have the butler, Richard. His own father in the past slept with his wife. His wife kept it silent until she brought it out. But then, because she brought it out, she decided to let a white man force her into drinking. She gets drunk, calls the father back over. The father digs her out. Sam goes over there. After the father digs her out, Richard goes back to the house. Sam comes back over there. Now, of course, a number of these black men, they are supposed to be the Secret Service. Get Bobby, the dark-skinned guy, sleeping around. Calls himself Bobby Baby or something like that. Sleeping with the vice president's wife. Now, the reason why I'm bringing all of this out is this. When you have black people running anything, like that Tiffany chick over there in not Harvey, but Dalton, Illinois, a lot of chaos. And I have to say this, black people, particularly the city black people, love chaos for some reason. They don't want peace. Peace will cause them harm. I like peace. And I'm bringing this movie up because does this depict what you see in today's black people? It does in some of them. And you have a number of white women, they're trying to be like that. Because the ones who are doing all the fussing right now, particularly for this DEI bullshit, is white women. White women benefit the most in this country. And they're doing the most grind. They get everything. And some of them want to be like these ratchet black women. There was this site on Facebook called White Women Who Love Black Men. And that site had white women on there trying to have big booties like black women. Bottom line is, if you think about it, how you are portrayed or how you appear is how people are going to judge you. So you coming around trying to talk ghetto as a white woman, we call you all mud sharks because a number of you are. You're trying to come out with the big booty. You're trying to speak the colloquialism, which is slang of a black woman. We're going to look at you the same way. And these are probably the white women out there, believe it or not, who have mixed kids. They're the white women who just date brothers because the white women, they don't want to have anything. The white men don't want to have anything to do with them, especially if they have a kid by a brother. The bottom line is this. When we get into the movie, now just share my screen to give you an overview of what the series is about. It's basically an American political drama and soap opera created, and of course it was produced by Tyler Perry, and it premiered October 23rd, 2019 on BET. Again, the series chronicles the lives of a family placed in the White House by people of power, while also highlighting the personal side and everyday lives of the staff who run its inner workings. Now, there was another show called Ruthless. You think about it, Ruthless is a Tyler Perry film too. And that was created by Tyler Perry. And that series is produced under Perry's overall deal with Viacom and CBS. And it's a spinoff of the BET drama, The Oval. Now, the first season of 24 episodes of that show premiered on March 19, 2020. And it started on February 23rd, 2021. And the show began airing on BET following new episodes of The Oval. And season 2 premiered on March 11th, 2021. Season 3 premiered on March 10th of 2022. And of course, season 4 premiered on April 20th 2023. In 2024, the show renewed for its fifth season, which premiered on August the 8th of 2024. Now, basically, if you think about it, the plot and the backdoor pilot, the first three episodes of the Oval, and Ruthless comes from Ruth Truesdale, which is Melissa L. Williams. Basically, she kidnaps her daughter, Callie, to join her and the sex-crazed members of the Rakutashis cult. Ruth is a devoted member of the Rakutashi cult, and after helping to severely punish her rebellious best friend Tally, she becomes an elder, high-ranking member of the cult. However, in order to be initiated into the position of elder, she was required to be gang raped by 7 high-ranking cult members, including Andrew and Daikon, in the presence of the highest. After being gang raped, Ruth no longer wants to be a member of the cult and began planning to escape with her best friend. Now, of course, that is in Ruthless. But now, when you look at the overall show of the Oval Office, can you imagine? You think about this. If Kamala Harris had won the presidency, her Oval Office would be just like the Oval. You look at Joe Biden's Oval Office. You had men, bald men, wearing skirts. You had the Health and Human Services, the first transgender. You had all of this outrageous behavior, dysfunctional behavior. And I'm not saying that everybody who is liberal is kooky, but a number of them out there, this is what happens when you send your kids to college. This is what happens when you have television, social media. This is what happens when you don't have the proper guidance at home. You come up with shows like The Old. Now, yeah, it's drama. Then they have another one coming on that takes place in Maryland. It starts, I believe, February or March 24th. So you're getting a lot of blacks involved in these soap operas and dramas. And what are they doing? They're making other people money. A number of them are selling their lives to the devil for money. Black people, particularly black men today, for the most part. You go look at that show, The Oval. Many of them are not faithful, but then many of them are weak. The women are disrespecting them, yelling at them, talking to them like they're children. They're talking to the men like the men don't have any power at all. And if you look at Tyler Perry, look at how he grew up. Now, he's very talented. Don't get me wrong. But he makes a lot of drama movies. Now, I know why he makes the drama movies. Going to another movie, Queen Latifah. How many people watch The Equalizer? I don't watch it. Now, the last Equalizer that I saw, I watched Denzel Washington. That was the good Equalizer. I'm not watching a woman who thinks she can beat up a bunch of men. But that's what's on TV. And that's what's giving a number of women out here carte blanche, thinking that they can go and disrespect men because of shows like The Oval. I mean, if you think about it, all through the seasons of that show that Tyler Perry has created, nothing but scandal and drama. And looking at everything when it comes to black people, we're depicted as being hypersexual, dramatic, we're depicted as being broke, particularly black men, irresponsible, individuals that don't want to do anything with our life, but excel in music. There's nothing wrong with music. It's nothing wrong with sports. We're celebrated in all that stuff. Again, we're celebrated when we go to jail and come back from jail. The dysfunction makes money. That's why Tyler Perry makes the movies he makes. This is why many of us as black people, and I don't care what your political affiliation is, the bottom line is we need to do a little bit better to understand how the real world works. Now, I just see this big split between black men and black women, and that's what happened during this election. Now, of course, there are some black women who got on board and voted for Donald Trump. They didn't vote Democratic. A number of black men, of course. But when it comes to what we watch on television, black people, BET, I remember when BET was fantastic. It had, I remember Tavis Smiley when he was on BET. Now you see the movies out there with black people, gangsters, hustlers. We're killing each other. I mean, look at movies that were on like Power. 50 Cent created that movie or that series. Tyler Perry has another series out, Satima and Sisters. But it doesn't, you know, when you look at his movies, doesn't depict anything positive about black people. Now, maybe he's telling a message to black people. I don't know. But the bottom line is there are a number of people who watch The Oval and love it and live their lives through that movie. And they're black. And they utilize what they see on that TV show by going out in the real world, thinking that they can apply the same method that they see on TV. It's the real world is a lot different. And I bring this up because, for the most part, we still haven't learned. In fact, it's getting worse. And this is what happens when you follow that white liberal. Because I'm going back to where the source is. The white liberal starts with the liberal white man and the liberal white women. And it's funny how a number of those liberals, they try to tell us how to be black when they've never been black. Now, they talk about race so much. Why? Because they're the racists. And if you look at this movie, something else. You look at all the bad wigs that the black women wear in the Oval. They look like dust moths. They look funky. They don't look natural. Some of them have too much makeup on. And they're loud. They're supposed to be in power. They're not professional. Bottom line, I wonder what goes on behind the scenes at a city council meeting in Chicago, in Baltimore. It's all run by black people. It's probably a shit show because it's all we know. We like to be loud. Now, I'm not saying other people don't like to be loud, but here's the difference that I see with other races. When you are believed to be at the bottom of your race, the top of the race, you look at white people. White people don't deal with the bottom or the trash of their race. They don't deal with it. Either do Indians, either do Asians. We're the only one who does. We try to bring everybody in. That's our problem. And if you look at a number of the movies that Tyler Perry puts out, like The Oval, there's always some drama, some crime, some sex, some romance. And I'm talking about bad romance. But now you start getting into men humping on men and they have wives. And I'm going to tell you women something too. I want to tell you women something. You fear that men are going to cheat on you with women? You better look, you better understand this, ladies. Some of these men out here, they're not going to tell you. You got a lot of switch hitters out here. And I can prove it because I remember when Craigslist was up, there were a hell of a lot of ads, men seeking men, men seeking trainees and everything. Marry. And some of the profiles that I read make your stomach turn. And I say this because you better worry about your man cheating on you with another man. And see, when it becomes liberal out here, liberals, they want a libertine society where everything goes. They want us to be able to accept the lifestyles that they want to live. And if we don't, they call us bigots and they want to silence us. Well, in this movie, The Oval, you'll see a lot of what I'm talking about. If you have Comcast or if you have BET, turn it on. See what I'm talking about. Go back from season 1 to now. See all the drama, the killing, the disrespect, and even the women. There was one woman I thought was innocent. A sweet guy gives her some drinks. Again, she invites her father into their house. The father knocks the bottom of it out, rips the lining out of that stuff. And then the son comes back with a knife and kills the father. Now, does this happen in every race? Absolutely. But I'm really speaking with Black people because we are the ones who have been identified as the predators. That's why we can't be trusted. You watch The Oval, got individuals who dress very well. But guess what? They still act like they come from the streets. And the funny thing about that show is, who's the president on that show? It's the white man who has a Black woman. And if you look at the vice president, he's weak. He has a Black woman, but he cheats on his Black woman with the first lady, who's a Black woman to the white man's husband, well, to the president. You look at a number of the women. They cheat with all the Secret Service people. And a number of them are Black. And again, you got the White House chief of staff named Donald. Mentioned him early. He's sleeping with another Secret Service person named Kyle. Then you have the other guy, I believe his name is Dale. Worked on the streets as a prostitute, male prostitute. And, you know, when men start listening to women and sound like women, women disrespect you. And see, here's where they get you. If you don't do it their way, they call you weak. No, you're not weak. You're smart. Number of women are stupid out here. But see, they know that all they have to do is put a piece of flesh in front of you guys. And if you look at the oval, you see that too. When the women don't get their way or have anything, even the guys who don't want it on that show, they throw them at him. They still throw it at them. Now you think about if a man is throwing something like that at a woman, sexual harassment comes up. See the double standards. This is what I'm telling you. Some of these movies depict on what's going on in the real world. But if you're not watching, everything's going to go over your head. Now, like I said, I'm not a fan of drama. Not like that. Yeah, it's entertaining. See, that's the problem with black people. That white liberal, they look at us as entertaining. That's why they don't take us seriously. And it's hard for people like myself who work around a lot of white people who are smarter than a number of the white people I work around. We're not taken seriously. Why? Because we got to deal with the individuals out here. We're put in the same bucket that the ones who like entertainment, the weave wearing, the ghetto niggas, we're put in that same bucket. We're put in there as ultra feminine, even when we're not. Now, I can't help all the black people, but the ones who understand what's going on, what you have to do is navigate yourself through the real world. You have to become red pill. And see, a number of people out there I've seen on this show, they don't even, on YouTube, they don't really know what red pill is. Red pill is not about the women all day. That's part of it. When you are red pill, you actually see the truth for what it is, and you can navigate yourself through the system. I'll put that video up. You know, you have people talking about red pill now. Me and Brother Guy King talked about red pill back in 2017, 2018. I defined it. And yet people talking about red pill now. But many of them here on YouTube, if you think about it, they're not red pill, they're blue pill, hiding under red pill. There are a lot of black men out here, and then white men today. They're simps. They act tough, but they hide under the umbrella of red pill. But they're simps. And they don't understand that when it comes to a number of these women out here, you have to understand that many of these women are stuck in delusion and arrested development. They don't want you. Number of women out here want other women. They want a thrill. They want to be able to put their pussy to anybody that they want. And you guys shouldn't be upset if they do it. You don't deal with those women. You got to use common sense out here in the real world. And if you watch The Oval by Tyler Perry, I will tell you, it's going to take something from the TV. Certainly it's entertaining. What you need to do is look at yourself and have some discipline. A number of these guys on that show and a number of guys out in the real world don't have discipline. Certainly, women can be very enticing. They can put the perfume, the hair smells good, even if they wear the weave and the wigs, regardless, even if they're bald. I don't care about what any of you guys say. Some of you guys would bone Leslie Jones if she was enticing. Because the bottom line with a lot of guys, particularly black men, many of us are hypersexual. We don't know how to discipline ourselves. Now, I know there was a word that I used, Sergeant Willie Pete used it, called discipline. No, you got to use overall discipline. Just because that woman looks good, you got to listen to what she says, and you got to see what she's going to do. You listen, and then you look. You ever heard of that song, Stop, Look, Listen? Well, that's what you got to do. It's like crossing the street. You got to look both ways before you cross the street. A lot of guys don't do it. I see guys on panels all day up there talking about the same things that we talked about 8, 9, 10 years ago, right here on YouTube. Now, if you're going to watch some television, as a guy, I'm going to tell you what you need to watch. And I watch it. I know not many black people talk about this, but I'll talk about it. No angry man talked about it one time, but I said something about it earlier. I like Yellowstone, Kevin Costner, 1923 with Harrison Ford, those kinds of shows. But you want to know something? You don't have any black people in those shows. There's only one show, and it was based off of Yellowstone as well. Yeah, you have Landman. That's the guy that's dealing with the oil. But I believe you have, I think it was, it's a black cowboy. Was it Lawman or Bass Law? One of them. That's about the only one that I see that has any type of masculinity. And what men need is masculinity. You have a number of these white women out here, these liberal white women. They're trying to dictate to their men on how to be men, just like the black women are doing the black men. And when you are a man and you let women dictate to you what they want you to do, or you don't get any sex from them and you fall for it, you become weak and women disrespect you. Again, I refer to the Oval. Those men are like toys. Yeah, they go out and they wear suits, but they do everything that those women tell them on that show. These women cheat on their husbands, because you see on that show, every woman on there who has a spouse is cheating on their spouse. Chaos. More black people love chaos. It sells. Until we do something about it, we're going to be looked at as a joke. Because what's entertainment? Entertainment is a joke. It's all fun and games, and we're not taken seriously. I mean, I know Tyler Perry, and granted, he's a smart man. He knows who his community is. Sell to black women. They'll buy your stuff because they live their lives like that. You look at Kendra G. She has an app. According to her, she left WGCI in Chicago. I remember when she worked at Power 99 in Philadelphia, and she was not a good radio host. In fact, she was annoying. So she goes all the way out to Beverly Hills saying that she started her own company, own media company. Okay, that's great. She has an app, but look what type of women she puts on her show. Everybody knows it. Dysfunctional women. Women who are asking a lot, and they're baby mamas. And I had never ever heard of women who have infants. You just had a baby, you're trying to date. This is the dysfunction. But you know what? You got people like Kendra G that encourage that dysfunction. You got the white liberals out there, when it comes to dysfunction, they encourage it. Because it's a money maker. Has nothing to do with morality, because morality is subjective. But see, these white liberals out here, they want a libertine society. They want another Rome. Because a society can rise no higher than the morality of its women. Number of women aren't loyal. Chris Brown had a song back in 2006 called "These Hoes Ain't Loyal." Go back and listen to the words. Don't listen to the beat. But looking at the Oval, And I'm gonna be doing more and more too on some of these movies out there. Look at Queen Latifah out there, The Equalizer. Now, the only people who are going to watch that show are going to be a number of black women because she's a black woman whooping on guys, which in the real world, that ain't going to happen, Cap. If you get messing around with the wrong guy, you might end up somewhere that is going to be very uncomfortable, or you might end up in a casket. But again, with all this TV, The View, think about it. The ones who are doing all the noise making right now are women. They think they run something. That's because they told a lot of you men to shut up, and you men took it. A lot of you politicians who are men, women told you they weren't going to give you any if you make noise. I'm going to shout out to Minister Jeff because he did say this, and it is true. I don't fight racism every day. It's feminism. And then to really tie everything to feminism, when feminism isn't working, who do they get on their side? The alphabet community. See, they want to knock down the so-called patriarchy in this country. And I don't give a damn what anybody says. Men are always going to rule some way or another. They give women a little bit, particularly here in the West, so we don't look like barbarians. But if you go over to the Middle East, and I've been to the Middle East a couple of times, a lot different. This is why women should not be bitching over here. They have opportunities. So what if you're not making the same money that I'm making? Do you have an opportunity? I mean, they're the ones bitching about the DEI because they can't go to the top colleges. Look, as long as you can go to college, that's all you need. There are plenty of colleges out there, online colleges out there, colleges that are closing. But many of you want to try to go into the top colleges. And it's many of the women out here who don't believe in capitalism. Many of the women work for the government. They're pushing paper. We don't need a bunch of paper pushers. We need individuals who are going to be innovative. Now, don't get me wrong, getting back to Tyler Perry, he is innovative. I'm happy that he has come through. But the problem with Tyler Perry is, in my humble opinion, he's making the wrong types of movies. Now, going back to like the Cosby Show, I watched that back in the 80s and the early 90s. And shout out to Angry Man for saying this too. But I saw it as well. Cosby, that was all bullshit too. Because generally, if you have two people who have careers and they're educated, they're never going to have a big family. They may have had one or maybe two kids. That's it. It's your uneducated people generally who have a lot of kids. Now, generally, they're working an everyday type of job like construction, or they're working as a manager somewhere. And then you got the ones who are really low that have a bunch of kids who are living off the government dole. It's a fact. You have a lot of selfish people today. And when you watch the Oval, you're going to see how the egos, the selfishness, and see how that's portrayed. And there are a number of women who watch that show. Now I'm going to take a look at the other series he's got called Sisters and Zatima. And see what I'm going to do is I'm going to connect them to the real world. But when you watch the Oval, it really depicts to you about power. The more women want the power, or they think they have the power, they don't understand power. Because come power comes responsibility. I know many women can't even take care of their own homes, let alone going out there trying to run a corporation for the country. I mean, if you ask yourself right now, where would we be if Kamala Harris was in office? You would have a bitch ass husband like hers, because he is very, very passive. She didn't have her own children. She didn't. She talks about family. She doesn't even know what family is. She doesn't even get along with her dad. You had crazy Tim Walz with his crazy ass wife. Do you want that in there? These individuals on the left, and I'm not talking about Democrats now. I'm talking about the left wing of the Democratic Party. It's nothing but feminists, alphabet people. They're the ones running your party, and they have the biggest mouths. And the problem with you Democrats out there, you sell shit like Tyler Perry's The Oval. That's what you guys sell. You guys are those people that I'm talking about in The Oval. And a number of you black women. And of course, you liberal white women. Now, when I say black women, I'm talking about your city-fied, because they're decent black women from the country. One like that. But you know what they call them? Pygmies. Your brother that has some education, they call you lame in the black community. And this is why the black community is upside down. We worship criminality. A number of the preachers in the black community, they're just as whorish as anybody on the Oval. The men have left church. See, when you don't have any men, you have blighted communities. And you look at the black community, yeah, you get some Asian coming up. You put some beauty supply store with phony looking wigs and weave up there that black women are paying a lot of money for. You have old Muhammad coming in there putting the gas station up, selling bullcrap gas and bullcrap candy in the hood. And then the only thing that you have that's really black in the hood is the church. But what's similar with all three of those entities? They all take money from the black community and they leave. Because they don't want to be around blight. They don't want to be around that criminal element. And that's what you have in the black community. Yeah, you have some in the white community, and you do have some in the Hispanic community, because in some of the cities, the Hispanic community is backed up against the black community. Same shit. On a government dole. This is why we got the problems. And right now, for black people, shows like The Oval provide a lot of entertainment. A lot of entertainment. But in the end, it's always a losing situation, because all blacks are judged based on the dysfunctional blacks. And unfortunately, black people love dysfunction and chaos. They don't know what peace is. They don't even know what power is. When they're given an opportunity to run something, they fuck it up. Because in the end, they don't understand what running anything is. See, black people ran something when they had to, back in the Black Wall Street days. They wanted to integrate. I mean, you look at Oprah. Certainly, I respect what she does, but she's dysfunctional in my humble opinion too. I mean, Ayanna Van Sant, she's a feminist herself. She tries to put it out there like she's teaching somebody something. She's a feminist as well. You look at the women on The View, the Whoopi Goldbergs, the Joy Behars. These are women who are stuck in Arrested Development. They're stuck in everyday anger. They get on TV. They have the loudest mouths, but they do nothing but live off of somebody else. You take the money away from some of these women, where would they be? They'd be out there selling that ass. The number of women want handouts. They don't believe in capitalism. They're not going to compete. They can tell you that they can do anything that a man can do. Yeah. It's easy to say that when everything is already built for you. When you actually have to go out there and get it, it's work. They don't want to do the work. That's why many of them are crying now about their government jobs. Because they've been on easy street too long. Sometimes when it comes to teaching somebody something, you got to feel a little pain. And in the end, I'll say this. I want a number of you individuals to go out there, you watch the Oval. You watch the Dysfunctional in that Oval. Just watch it. Comes on BET. Go watch some of Tyler Perry's other movies like Ruthless. You watch Sisters, and you watch The Team. And there's another one coming on too. It has some blacks in there. Again, I forgot the name of that new soap opera that's coming on. It's going to be a daytime soap opera on CBS. It's going to be Dysfunctional as well. And I have to ask this. When it comes to living in the real world, and you know how the real world is. The real world is not all roses and cherries, and we know that. But the bottom line is, you want to understand how the real world works, you got to participate in it. You have to educate yourself. And education is in more forms than just college. Having common sense. And that's what has been lost these days. But in the end, my question for you is this. For black people out there, and even for white people, particularly who's liberal or progressive, why don't you understand the real world? Why don't you live in the real world? You're happy when somebody lies to you to make you feel good rather than tell you the truth. But in the end, I'm just going to ask this question, a number of black people. Do you want peace? Or do you want to continue with chaos? Well, my answer is I want peace. I want to live a long time. Because chaos causes stress. And as you know, stress is the number one killer of all people. If you don't believe me, you look up all the information for yourself, particularly all these medical studies, psychological studies. And you even ask a number of your family members about stress. Because in the end, dysfunction equals stress, which is also satanic. So go on. Watch The Oval by Tyler Perry. And you point out all of this dysfunction on that show. And you equate it to the real world. And in the end, you're going to see some similarities from what Tyler Perry depicts on TV, what you see in the real world. Because Black people, for the most part, not all, but most of them, love dysfunction. And the white liberal is promoting it. Look at all the TV shows. There's your answer. And that's my commentary for this edition of the 401 Talk Zone radio show right here on YouTube. If you like what I just presented, comment, share, and subscribe. And if you are looking for some STEM content, you check out my second channel, the QCIS channel. On that channel, I give you a daily dose of science, technology, engineering, and math. And here's where you can find me. For the 401 Talk Zone radio show, you can find me right here on YouTube. I do videos for the most part every Wednesday around the same time. And from YouTube, I post videos up on X, which is formerly Twitter. And now I'm on Rumble and, of course, Truth Social. For the QCIS channel, also find me on YouTube. I generally do videos on Thursday. Occasionally, you'll see me post a video on Friday or Saturday. It depends on how tired I am. But you're going to get that video from the QCIS channel that week. Again, you can also find me with the QCIS on the QCIS channel, YouTube, Twitter, and of course, with Twitter, which is now X, and LinkedIn. In the end, always be blessed for what you have. Don't worry about what you don't have. Know that the sun always rises in the east and sets in the west. And if it doesn't apply, let it fly. But if the shoe fits, wear it. If you don't like the shoe, change it. And once again, thank you for listening to this edition of the 411 Talk Zone radio show right here on YouTube. Till next time, my name is Leon Jones. I'm sure to have a wonderful, gracious evening. God bless you. I'm out.